and this is Cognition, episode 12, Narcissism. Narcissism is so confusing, in my opinion, but it isn't, because it isn't loving yourself. The old Greek myth was this guy who stood by a river and stared at himself because he'd fallen in love with his own image. And I've heard different versions of it, I guess. Someone cursed him that way. They forced him to be that way. And some god felt sorry for him and made him into a flower. It's one version. Other versions, but the reality is, if you sit by a river and stare at yourself forever, you end up dead, to put it bluntly. Because you can't just sit there and do nothing. We call someone a narcissist, though, today. We mean that they're so self-involved. They don't see the damage they do to other people. They don't really care about other people. They systematically need everyone worshiping the ground they walk on, while they simultaneously, in a weird kind of way, need to destroy those people because they can't stand anyone being the center of attention other than them. They can't stand anyone, in other words, winning or being successful or being happy, because to them it's some kind of affront. And they also need to have the people around them, they're doing what they want. I have narcissistic parents, and one of them works for the government, or did. And I have experienced 10 years of living with Gilead. 10 years with not being able to do what I want with my life. 10 years of not having the freedom of choice. 10 years of not being able to get employed doing anything I wanted to do. And 10 years of everyone expecting me to move on from what I loved. I haven't moved on. Because for me, to give that up means I give up this big part of myself that loves me, that wants me to be happy. I can't see I'm not a school teacher. I'm not a real estate agent. When I was in high school, I was too afraid to pursue my dreams and too scared and didn't have enough confidence. So I decided I want to be a writer. A poet, actually. Not that poets make a lot of money, but I didn't care. I had an imagination. I just wanted to stay in my imagination. I felt safer. My parents never let me have friends growing up. I mean, yeah, I kind of did have friends, but I always felt like all my friends were chosen for me. But in a weird way, they weren't, because like if my parents had really chosen my friends, I would have been friends with people that went to their church. But I was never friends with anybody at their church. Instead, I became friends with people in my high school. As years progressed, I had periods of time where I had my own identity. I was doing my own thing. And I was achieving things. I think that it's ironic that I have been labeled things I'm not, in a way. Because every label that's out there that's negative is a twist of the truth. I am the oldest born, so I was always a leader, not a follower. I liked to read books when I was a kid and immerse myself in those books. I didn't like, I spent my senior year of high school having lunch in my fourth period class instead of being in the cafeteria because I really didn't like being around the other kids. And yet somehow I'm a stalker now. Somehow I've been labeled this thing that I'm not. When reality is, I only needed a few people in my life. I only needed people in my life who believed in me. And it definitely wasn't my parents. I mean, my parents never understood me. They never accepted me. They never respected me. I mean, respect was this word that I never understood until I got older because it got thrown at me so much when I was a kid. You're supposed to respect your parents. And instead of it meaning, like, I look up to them, I thought that it meant I obey them because I didn't really look up to them. I was a highly intelligent girl, and my parents didn't seem to care. I mean, every time I wanted accolades for academically, my mother acted like I was an affront to her. And now, years later, I get letters and cards from my mother saying how much she misses me. And I'm thinking, how can that be possible when we never really talked? We never connected. You want me to be the person that you wanted me to be. You want me to do the things you want to do, and I'm just not that person. I never was. My mother likes to rug hook, make these rugs, and I hate carpet. I think carpet is a germ trap now. I made one rug hook project. Someone on Instagram started following me with rug hooking information, and I was like, that's my mother, not me. And who are you? Because I don't even talk about that anymore. Someone from my distant past, before I was the age of 18, is intentionally sending people in my direction to harass me, to degrade me, and to make me be the person who was terrified and scared living with my parents when I was 18 years old. I highly recommend seeing the movie, A Place Among the Dead by Juliet Landau. I got the opportunity to see the UK premiere, online, of course, because of COVID. And it's an exploration of narcissism manifested in vampirism. But there's also a hint of, I think, I'm going to call her Juliet. I feel weird calling her that in a weird kind of way. We follow each other on Twitter. I talk to her. She talks to me, and we send notes to each other. I think I'm talking to her. I may be talking to somebody else at the production company. I know she knows who I am, and that I exist, which I'm very grateful for. I was always a bit of a fan of hers, and a little in awe of her. And she's one of my favorite characters in Buffy the Vampire Slayer because she made her own choices. I think she took risks as an actress. And oddly enough, I think she understands what I'm talking about. You see, people have thought that someone was attacking me online and calling me evil. They were saying that I was a bad person. They were calling me all this nasty stuff. And in all honesty, if Juliet really got to know me, she would find out that I'm a bit of a prude and a dork. At the same time, it's the year 2020, and I'm so angry with my parents, I'm actually shoving sex in their face. The fact that I've had that I'm not a virgin anymore. And I'm doing that because I want them to understand I'm an adult. But they seem to not get the fact that I'm still the girl that got good grades in school. My father has even admitted the fact that he knows I would never do anything wrong. He knows I never met the profile. And that's what's really frustrating to me. I don't understand how they can comprehend the fact that what they let happen in a way by not standing up for me. And I honestly think that they're a part of it. I was blacklisted in the entertainment industry, and to me, it's all narcissism. I just wanted to work and do a good job. And here's the kicker. My troll was calling, I had a troll who attacked me 105 times, and they were calling me a narcissist. And I'm like, well, maybe I am. To the extent that I feel the need to be successful. And I feel the need that I need to do something that matters. And I need to do something that's important. I was reading a marketing book on how to market yourself without, I guess, in essence, feeling like you're selling your soul or feeling like you're going against your principles. How do you deal with this, our society right now where everyone is push, 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 sell, sell, sell. And I felt like, well, I want to be able to not go against who I am. I want to be a good person and but not risk crossing the line where I'm a user, and risk crossing the line where I'm taking advantage of people, and risk crossing the line where I go against my values. And I was having difficulty with that because some people didn't comprehend the fact that I'm sorry, but I'm not going to do a commercial for IHOP because I'm gluten-free. I'm not going to go do a commercial for McDonald's because I don't eat at McDonald's. And everyone was trying. At one point, I had a commercial agent, and I felt like people thought that was why I was here. And I think that's what my parents thought. And I'm like, you do understand I have a theater degree, right? You do understand that's what I studied in school. And my mother will not even admit the fact that I did that. And I realize I'm talking a lot about me in this. Because when it comes to narcissism and it comes in mental health, I can't talk about somebody else's experience. I can only talk about my own. But in some ways, I hope somebody out there understands that this is what narcissism looks like. And it isn't me. And I had to come to grips with that too, because I had an ex-boyfriend say at one point I was a bit of a narcissist. And to the extent that with him, I felt like I needed to do what I needed to do for me. Yeah. Because that was me putting up a wall and saying, I have to take care of me right now. And you're taking too much from me. And so at that point he called me a narcissist, and I was like, and it hurt when he said that, but I realized, no, I think you understand. I think you're just saying that to hurt me. You're saying that because I'm saying no to you. And I was always a good person. I was generous, and I'm the kind of person who wants to find out what somebody else likes and give them that present. Because I know how, I'm not the kind of person who, like, my parents will give me something that they want me to have, that they would like to have, but they don't care about what I would actually like. They don't take the time, or they don't accept the fact that I don't like what they like. I'm a vegan, they won't respect that. I'm a liberal, they won't respect that. My grandfather and I had a lot in common, surprisingly, because he was a Republican, but he was a well-read, educated man, and he liked history and archaeology, and he was fascinated by the past. And he would take me on archaeological digs to find Indian arrows at the beach, and he made jewelry, believe it or not. He found gemstones. He actually found gemstones. Like, he would explore and look and find gemstones, and then he would take those gemstones and make them into jewelry. He had a knack for finding things, actually. He had a knack for finding ancient artifacts and arrowheads and those kind of gemstones where if you take a rock and it looks really ugly and you cut it open and all of a sudden you break it open and it's got like the amethyst stuff. He had a block of amethyst that my parents had that's actually supposed to be mine. I fought with my Aunt Hannah about it because I didn't want it broken up. Like, I didn't want it changed. I wanted to keep it as it was. If I had a kid, I would keep it as it is until my child was old enough, and then I would give it to her and then pass it on to her to the next child. I wouldn't give it to if I had a son and a daughter, I would give it to the daughter, not the son, and tell the daughter, keep it and give it to your daughter and pass it down. And it belonged to my grandfather. And, but I don't think that's going to happen now. I'm not going to have kids. I'm not going to have kids. I think that's what bothers me, is that we have become so twisted with how we perceive people. I was socially awkward and shy and a bit of a mess, but I wasn't really suffering from my mental illness was my parents. Like, I wasn't hiding from people on the East Coast. I wasn't hiding from the cops. I was hiding from my father, who's a government agent. I didn't want him to know where I was. I did not want him in my life. I wanted to feel safe. I do not want guns in my life. I do not want violence in my life. I wanted love. I wanted peace. And it's been quiet all night, and it's the New Year's, and now I hear a siren and fireworks. Now, I'm hoping the siren and the fireworks are not related. This is fire season, people. Don't burn Los Angeles down. So we just had rain, though, so that's a good thing. Because, sometimes I don't think people think that through. I'm like, we're going to set off fireworks, yay. And then, like, it's fire season in Los Angeles. Anyways, and see, that's the way I think. My little brain thinks, okay, that's going to be a disaster. Don't do that. Anyways, when it comes to narcissism, know what it is. And I don't know. If you're a narcissist, you may not know you are. Me being an actor is not narcissism. Just because I want to say, hey guys, guess what? I'm in this movie. But and the irony, okay? I had people follow me on Twitter and say, well, I'm going to follow you because I want to learn about acting. And I was like, what are you talking about? I'm not an acting teacher. I'm an actor. I'm not going to teach you acting. That's not what I do. I don't teach acting. I do acting. And I'm like, I'm just going to be me on here because this is me being sane. I'm going to write about what I want to write about. I'm going to do what I want to do. When I'm not doing acting, I'm this person. I like to write poetry. I like to create lyrics. I like to make movies. I like to talk about things that are important to me. I like to help other people if I can, and I like to keep informed with what's going on in the world to try to make the world a better place. I don't like politics. You know, I don't like running. I don't want to run for office. I don't like bureaucracy. I get bored to no end. I'm like, my apartment's a mess, and I keep thinking I have to clean it up. But then I get overwhelmed because I don't know where to start. My kitchen and my bathroom I can keep clean. My closet I keep clean. But the rest of the apartment, the main part of it, I'm thinking, there's too much paper and it's too small because I have my office and my bedroom and everything in one room. So it was like, I'm not perfect. I'm flawed. I'm also very smart. But I'm talking about myself again. I just don't understand how my life could end up the way it is right now. Because all I wanted was to do what things that I loved. And somehow I got labeled a stalker by narcissists. Every single person out there who has claimed that I'm a stalker, I've got news for you. I hope people see through you. I hope people see you as the narcissist you really are. Because I'm not stalking anybody. I actually have active friends. My friend Helena D., who I've known since 2007. I don't get into her business. Kelly Perrine, I haven't seen that often. I don't know if I can count him as a friend, but we hung out for a couple of years. I dated 2 of his friends. I am tired. I am so tired of people twisting the truth. I am so tired of the fact that I couldn't have private parts of my life that nobody knew about. I hung out at the Magic Castle with John Armstrong for a long time, and I don't know what the truth is there with him. I mean that, John, I don't. Cheryl Stewart, I don't know if she was lying or not. I filed an action with the state bar against Cheryl Stewart, who was his ex-girlfriend, because I don't have an STD. But she let everyone think I had an STD. Because I think her and the state bar said that, or maybe they had misinterpreted, that a guy named Jordan Marks might have been involved at some point, or at least knew each other. And I kind of suspected that after a while, but I'm like, that is insane. That is insane. I have not, I had moved on. I was happy being single. It is crazy to me that some of the people here in California are so obsessed with destroying other people who, for whatever twisted reason, whether it's because of an ex or just because of jealousy. It just doesn't make any sense to me. And it's not just here, it's in America in general. It's like the only thing I wanted was peace. I had to work hard to get into college. And my parents didn't care about me getting to college because they wanted me to have babies. And I told them I didn't want to have kids. And the reality is, the urge to reproduce is in all of us. But I wasn't going to reproduce to put my children in a position where they were going to have less than I did, or to be a repeat of what happened to me, and not be allowed to have fun, not be allowed to be happy, not being allowed to laugh, not being able to feel feelings and be human. I don't want men like my father in my life. And I do not want a guy who cares more about me going to church. I'm not going to church with you. And I want to have a child. So if you have children already, I think you're not the person for me. And it's too late for me to have kids, so there really is no reason for you to be in my life. I am not going to respect you, like you, or want you in my life if you're coming after me because my parents want you in my world. Because the minute I find out you like my parents, you will be like my ex-boyfriend Frank Coe, and I will be so furious and angry with you that all I'll feel is hate. See, I used to think hate was a sin, but now I'm realizing the anger that I feel is really justified. I never hated anyone. I never was angry, really, toward anyone until I was violated and my life destroyed for no reason. Oh, yeah, I'm not attractive, therefore we need to run Lorianne Toll out of Los Angeles. We only want pretty people here. Really? What kind of message is that sending to everyone? I mean, I look at Christmas pictures of SAG-AFTRA, and the vast majority of members of SAG-AFTRA do not fit in the I'm hot and gorgeous category. Even the president is not tall, thin, blonde, and blue-eyed of SAG-AFTRA. Sorry, Gabrielle Gutierrez, but you're not. You're not the stunning beauty who looks like a Barbie doll. You're not an ugly woman. But get real. Oh, wait, you're Jewish. I'm not. I'm 2%. I got attacked online and called a wasp. I do not like the Puritan greed of being a wasp. Money is not what drives me. What drove me was intelligence, love, happiness, peace. I was meditating and I was finally finding a center, and that got taken away from me too. I don't know when the last time I sat. I really need to get back into that. I need to get focused. But the reality is I don't see the point. If my acting career is over, I really don't want to help the actors out there with my words. I don't want to write scripts for you. I don't want to do anything for you. Because you didn't do a damn thing for me. All I did was get labeled something I'm not. All I did was get bullied and abused for a decade. All I did was get to the point where no one wants me to exist anymore. My father would rather have me dead than successful and happy. He doesn't want history to remember me because as far as he's concerned, I'm a failure. I have been screaming at him to cut me off for years, and I think finally in 2021 he's going to. I'm a Democrat, Dad. I'm a liberal, and I'm proud of it. I am not ashamed of the fact I worked as an extra for 5 years because I was actually getting to the point where I didn't want to be an extra anymore. I wanted to move up the ladder, and you would not listen to me. Because you think that what? I'm going to turn around and find a husband? You know me. I don't think you really want me to have a husband. Because your ego and you're being my father, you can't stand that idea. You're an overprotective ogre. You claim to love me? Really? My father said to me, I'm not trying to make you give up acting. Do you understand the fact that in order for me to do acting, I have to be with professional actors now because I have passed the point where I want to be with amateurs? I have passed the point where I want to be with people who don't take it seriously. I'm past the point where I want to do community theater. I mean, seriously. People don't do acting as a hobby in America. They don't. You either do it professionally after a certain point, or you don't do it at all. We don't have theater for fun. We don't let people have fun anyways. I think about how mentally ill we are. And it's because we don't let people be happy. We don't let people have control over their own lives. I've had more people try to tell me what to do, who to be, what to think, even what my political beliefs are. I actually know that a lot of people have been campaigning for Georgia and wanting the Georgia to win, the Democrats to win. I do too. But I'm hesitant to interfere and I'm hesitant to push. Because from my perspective, you push some people, they're going to go the exact opposite direction. And I also wouldn't want people pushing me. I have to make that decision for myself. I have to do the homework, do the research, and figure it out on my own. And I wish that we would train people in this country to think like that. To train people to understand the fact that you have the right to make certain choices for yourself. Granted, there are people who can't make choices for themselves. There are people who are not capable of making decisions for themselves. I wasn't one of them. I mean, seriously, if you look back at my records, I had good credit in 2007, 2008. I was paying my own rent. I think I had like one medical bill that went on my bad credit history. That's because I didn't get the bill. Went to the wrong address. I never had anything really. I had student loan debt, but I was always making sure to manage it properly. Either calling them up and saying, sorry, I can't pay the rent right now, or finding other ways. I was even paying my rent when I was in D.C. when I was working as a legal temp. All I needed to do was to pay $40,000 a year, and I could make the payments. I couldn't do that by being blacklisted at a time when I was making $20,000 an extra, learning about the entertainment industry, and not having any connections at anything else in Los Angeles where I could actually be happy. And my father playing God with my life because all of a sudden I was getting job offers to go to government-run career things, and I didn't want to work for the IRS. I did not want to work in government. I didn't want to be stuck in a box. I didn't want to be limited and be held back. That's the irony. To me, the First Amendment is the most important amendment in the Constitution. And I know I'm kind of digressing from narcissism. But the reality is, if we don't have the right to speak for ourselves, then narcissists take over. I mean, look at what 45 has been doing. He's been trying to strip away our rights to freedom of speech, strip away our rights to criticize him, strip away our rights to even be mad at each other or be upset or express our real feelings. He wants to he wants to limit the possibility of people being free from lawsuits on the truth. Like, the reality is, he wants to be able, like, he says he wants to be able to sue people for criticizing him. But he's the president. We have the right to criticize him. We have the right to degrade him. We have the right to make fun of him. It's called a democracy. He has to listen to us. He has to listen to the people and serve the people. And if he doesn't, then he better get out of the fire. Because we'll roast him. That's what the First Amendment is about. About ensuring that our government stays in line and ensuring that our government listens to us. Ensuring that our government actually obeys the will of the people. That's why the press is called the Fourth Estate. And here's the thing about the press. They're not just the people who work for the major television shows or the major newspapers. Because back in the time of the American Revolution, the press was anybody who could get access to a printer and print flyers and spread them around. And it was the Hamilton papers, right? You know, Hamilton. There was a series, or was it Adam Smith? Oh, I think it was Hamilton. There's a bunch of people in the early age of the Founding Fathers who basically stirred up the revolution by writing things in papers or writing pamphlets, and they had them printed themselves and distributed. That is how the American Revolution happened. It didn't happen because someone raised a gun and fired a shot at the British. It was really driven by the written word, by free speech, by free press. And I'm not talking about overthrowing the United States government. I'm not being a traitor here. I'm talking about maintaining the government that we have, keeping it in check, making sure it's doing what the people want. Because, I mean, people are talking about socialism, right? We don't want socialism in this country. But every time the president says something like that, it makes me think, you don't want a government in this country that actually serves the people. You don't want a government that actually listens to the people. Because the reality is, there is never going to be any socialism unless we have the technology to actually, I think I've done this in a previous episode about Star Trek. I know we have the technology to feed everybody. We're not going to. But we do have a kind of socialistic perspective where we want the government to help as many people as possible with as little amount, with as efficiently as possible. I'm watching Star Trek right now, and I'm realizing the last episode there was a bit of a weird thing where they actually talked about that. Like, I did an episode about Star Trek and being socialistic, and they actually worked into the episode that this futuristic world is capitalistic. And kind of perverted because it's capitalistic. But the reality is, it's not true capitalism. It's a dictatorship. America's capitalism is free market. And it's supposed to, like, I am starting my own business, for example. I should be allowed to do that instead of having someone yelling at me online saying I should get a job without realizing I was trying to create my own job. Every time I was going out to write, I was trying to create a writing business. And one where I could actually be a writer and an actor. One where I could sport my real dreams. Why can't I do that? Why am I not allowed to be my own business? Why is it that I have to work for the government? Isn't that socialism? I mean, if the government owns the means of making money, and I can't work for anybody else unless I work for them, that's socialism. I want to be able to say, this is who I am as a person, and this is what I want to sell. That's capitalism. Me having a free market, being able to say, I'm an actor, and I'm an editor, and I'm a writer, and I'm here to make a living doing those things. I'm not here to work for the IRS. I'm not here to work as a politician. Because it works both ways with free market. It's not just what people want to buy. It's also what people want to sell. And granted, that's a little maybe supply side economics, but truth is, it's the truth. Somebody may want to buy something, but if no one wants to sell it, they can't buy it. It's the nature of freedom, of a free market system. The nature of socialism is everyone shares. But does everyone really want to share? Isn't there like a sense that this belongs to me? And even in Star Trek, you know, this is a gift that was handed to you from your friend. Like they have a sense of wills and trusts, where if someone dies, they pass things on to other people. We saw that in Star Trek Discovery. So there is a sense of property, that these things belong to me. You know, there are things that, for example, Data, who was a robot in Star Trek, he had all these pieces and devices that he had that were his, medals and awards that were his, photographs and holograph images of people that were his. There's always been a sense of, I'm keeping these things close to me because they mean something to me. There's never going to be a world in which people don't want to have things that matter to them that they keep, that are not shareable. I think we need to learn to get past these words, past the words of capitalism and socialism, and start recognizing the systems that are involved, and recognizing the difference between an ethical system where people are actually balancing mentally healthy relationships, where you understand the fact that there is a certain amount of dignity involved with allowing for someone to have a certain amount of privacy and self-respect and having boundaries, and being a society that is completely about slavery. I mean, that's the interesting thing about this futuristic world on Star Trek Discovery, is that the capitalist system has slavery. In a way, we do have slavery. And it's the class system. I, as a woman, should be allowed to do what I want with my life. I, as a woman, should be allowed to stand up for myself and be me. I'm a very loving, giving person, after all. But the reality is I wanted someone who was a best friend, and I was a vibrant, beautiful woman. I got to the point where I felt good about myself, where I actually looked in the mirror and said, I think I'm beautiful. I really do. And my own family, I think, wanted to take that away from me. They wanted me to feel ugly. And I'm back to feeling like I don't look as good as I should. I'm never going to get that back, I don't think. I'm never going to get back to the point where I look in the mirror and I see a healthy, beautiful woman. A woman that I can love and take care of and want to see. Making the world beautiful. Someone at Santa Monica College said that about me, that I want, when I'm working on a set, I want to make sure everything look beautiful. Including myself. I wanted love. I wanted healthy love. And I wanted friends. And I wanted people who would accept me for me. And I do not want people in my life who are like my parents. But I feel like we don't live in a free society. This tape will probably be watched by a few people, and I suspect there are people who my dad knows. I don't think that we have freedom of speech. I don't think we have freedom of the press anymore. Because from my perspective, I'm a member of the press. Everyone in this country is a member of the press. Any one of us could write an op, or a blog, or express our opinions online, or in a video. We are all members of the press. You just have to discern, though, which press members are telling the truth and which ones are lying. And typically, just because someone's getting paid does not mean they're telling the truth, because it all depends on who's paying them. It's hard. We live in a world that isn't easy anymore. We all need to, that's why I call this show Cognition. I want people to think, but not just with here. You got to think with everything. Your senses, your heart, your feelings, your gut. Open your mind to see. Smell, taste, everything can tell you so much about life. I wish I had been allowed the last 10 years to live my life. I've had the best years of my life as a woman instead of me, I don't know, finding some fantastic people to hang out with, some intelligent, vibrant people who didn't make me want to be in a box and hide myself. Finding some fantastic people to be around, to love. I mean, I do have people I care about. I do. I have people who have maintained my friendship with me and who have kept me going. I've been surprised who my friends are in all of this. I just wish someone had stood up to the people who did this to me and said this was wrong. Carrie Finkley, you were never going to be my friend. Sean Wilson, whatever reason you think I was blacklisted for, I never attacked you or anyone. And your attitude of, oh my God, she's talking to me, she knows who I am, I'm going to be a celebrity. That's why I feel like you're acting. You need everyone to know that I'm going to attack you or hurt you because I'm white. Meanwhile, I was actually a sweet person and very intelligent and didn't like someone who behaved like the bee. Jeremy Gilbreth, you violated me. And you know what? If you had just stayed out of my space and left me alone, that would have been it. It would have. I would have moved on from what you did and probably not talked about it again. But then I got blacklisted. And so I'm going to keep talking until I get back on sets and I'm going to have a career. I didn't want him. I mean, I didn't even lose my virginity till I was 23 years old, and I could pretty much prove that because I didn't find out I had a latex allergy until I moved to D.C. See, until I had sex, I didn't know I was allergic to latex. I found it the hard way. And I don't have an STD. I'm an intelligent woman, and I'm not changing my name because I did nothing wrong. I am proud of the fact that I'm a Democrat. I am proud of the fact that I'm a liberal. And I'm proud of the fact that I didn't back down, go away, and quit wanting to be an actor for some guy I don't want. My parents may be ashamed of me. Amelia Adams, you may be ashamed of me. I'm ashamed of you. Because I had things I wanted to do with my life, and they were not bad things. I felt like I was here to create things that were beautiful. And to create things that made people think and to use my imagination. I was here to play, but for the right reasons. I was here. All that time, my father says I was playing when I was on set. That was my work. That playing was why I was here. I don't want a life without play. Who wants a life where you never laugh, and you never feel safe, and you never have joy? Growing up, I felt like my parents didn't know how to have fun. They didn't know how to be happy. To them, happiness was thinking that they were going to die one day and go to heaven. Why wait till you're dead? I never understand that. I never will. I think people who think that the only reason we're here is to do whatever we can is to get in heaven are worshiping the biggest narcissists ever. So the only reason we were created to impress the person who lets us into the pearly gates after we're gone. Why? We're not here to take care of each other. We're not here to take care of the planet. We're not here to be our best person. And you know what? I hate to tell you this, but what I'm passionate about is what I was really good at. I'm an INFP. If I'm not passionate about what I'm doing, then I really can't pursue it because I get really frustrated, really angry, really tired, and I end up either quitting or, well, I've never really been fired that much. Until I was kicked off sets for no reason, I'd never been fired before, really. I never had anybody, terminate me. I'm not kidding. I was never really terminated from anything. That's the truth. I'm trying to look back because there's I think there was one situation where I hated the job and they didn't like me and we both quit on each other at the same time. But I've never experienced something like I've experienced the last 10 years of being told I'm on a list like a terrorist and I didn't do anything wrong. I wonder how many other people have been hurt like this. How much talent Hollywood elitism has ruined. The Hollywood elitist club. You want to talk about narcissism? The people running SAG-AFTRA, that's the most sick narcissism on the planet right now. It's the #1 export of this country, and it's not supposed to be an exclusive club if it's democracy. And how you get into it, I worked for it. I earned it. And unlike some other people who could make a phone call because they knew somebody, oh, but we know that person and their relatives were actors and their relatives before that were actors. That's royalty, people. It's unconstitutional. We're not supposed to have royalty in this country. Have we created a system of royalty? Or are you going to start respecting the people who actually earn their card and earn the right to be a part of the membership? And you may think, well, you didn't do Broadway. Well, then change the rules so it says that. But the reality is I did do theater. I mean, I trained. And yet for some reason, I'm not allowed to be with a membership. I worked for it. Some people are good at monologues. Some people are good at doing theater. I'm never going to go back to doing theater. I'm never going to make it as an actor now because I have to go out and make $1 million to make my own projects, and I can't do it because I'm sick. And meanwhile, if one person in this town would have hired me, if SAG and AFTRA didn't go around telling people that I was unhireable because I was a problem, if Will Wallace hadn't told people I'm a problem when I'm not, if one person out there would have hired me SAG-AFTRA, I'd like you to call SAG-AFTRA up and tell them. Hell, call the Attorney General. Let it be known. It may be too late to save my life. I'm not going to have children, and I'm not going to fight to live for some guy who wants to force me into slavery. I wish you'd just leave me alone. You're not going to get a dime of my parents' money. I'm not going to move in and take care of you. I'm going to not do anything for you. I'm not here to be the wife. I don't cook for you. I don't vacuum for you. My apartment's a mess right now. You think I'm going to clean it up once you come into my life? Or you think that you can bully me into being the person that my mommy is? The little dutiful housewife who does the housework. I don't like my mother. And I'm certainly not going to like you. You think I'm the narcissist? Get over yourself. You want me to get over me? Sorry. I want to feel good about myself, and I want to have self-esteem, and I want to have self-respect. And if you can't respect who I am, then you're a narcissist, and you're the abuser. I was a very nice person who just wanted to be happy. And I wanted to create good, positive things. I don't want you in my life if you stop me from doing what I'm supposed to be doing. My purpose for being here doesn't exist anymore. And my purpose for being here is not to be with you. Especially if you're being sent to me by Amelia Adams or my parents. I wish that I could have them arrested if they've been the one, whoever's been sending the men to contact me on Instagram, I want to file charges against them and I want them arrested, even if it's my own mother. I want her in a jail cell for harassment. I do not want to be, I don't need companionship. I really don't. All I need is this camera. All I need is a book to read. All I need is to be able to feel free to be able to create. Because the reality is, I'm going batshit crazy. I really am. Because I've been so isolated from what I love and so isolated from the people that helped me beat cancer. I belonged in the entertainment industry. When you stop me creating and stop me acting, you made me a person who doesn't want to live anymore. I don't look good anymore. It's because it's made me sick. It's made me ill. And I am not going to get better by being pushed into relationships I don't want to be in. If I end up dead in 2021, I would say the number one thing that killed me wasn't my Hashimoto's disease or the autoimmune diseases that I have. I'm pretty sure I'm developing arthritis now. It is the narcissistic society we live in that thinks evil is not respecting your parents, when evil is being abused by your parents. Peace and out.